Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cop Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you are on a fantastic day from wherever you are around the world. As you can see, Jack is trying to fix his camera while we're going live, so we're having a fantastic time. But again, hopefully, all of you are on a fantastic day wherever you are around the world. Anyway, and of course, welcome. We're going to I say welcome. Tonight, we're going to be talking about, of course, the aftermath of the Crystal Palace game, of course, and how the Reds have to go again in time to face Manchester United. And of course, before anyone mentions it in the comments, we are going to be talking about the breaking news about Naby Keita as well. We will talk and all discuss everything that's happened in the last in the last couple of hours. Anyway, what are you going to say?
Chat, I've made sure he's getting the tissues out because it's gonna be a very emotional video for Connor, as we all know. His best mate is Bezzy, his best man to his wedding as well in about 10 years will be Naby Keita.
I wish. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Now, as you can see, we are joined by, of course, Jack from the Anfield Pro TV. Jack, how you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad, mate. Thank you very much. And I apologise, chat, as well. Connor has just done an episode with obviously the background. We've done like a transfer video. Yeah. And yeah, it's all right, Connor. I'll make you to make up, I'll make you an intro for this season if you want.
Oh, okay. Sound then. All right, then I'll hold you to
Yeah, there you
that.
go.
I'm currently halfway editing through mine, so so it is coming,
I'll
guys.
make a better one.
It is coming. He says this. He can't even make himself his own freaking cup of teas whenever I see him. So I'm just gonna say that. No, I'm kidding. Of course.
No comment.
Well. But no, of course, we are going to be talking about Naby Keita in a brief moment anyway. But guys, let us know how all of you are in the chat down below. Of course, yes, Jack saying it is his fault that we are late tonight. We
Why
were
always
like
me?
9. All right, Mr. Balotelli, calm down. Jack's the boss, Connor. When he says go live, you say what time? So absolutely not. I go fully against this comment. I am the captain now.
So right, I haven't give Rob 10 quid to put down the chat. So right.
Rob, I will be having words at the end of the stream. Pick up YouTube Pastor. Hope you're well. Hello, John. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Are you getting emotional, Connor? Too emotional. I can't show it, unfortunately. Go away. But this whole thing that he's my favorite player is a myth. Virgil van Dijk is my favorite player.
Yeah, it is Van Dijk, but secondly, close second. It is Naby.
It's not even a close second. It's fucking miles. Oh wait. Hi boys as well. Hello Alan. Hopefully having a fantastic day, my friend. John, why do you always call everyone? It's from Liverpool, Trip. Obviously.
Yeah, basically, quickly sum up, Rob. When we Connor in the obviously Champions League final this year, was it last year? No, it was this year. Basically everyone was playing pool, weren't they, John? And was it Statman Stubbs or Steve?
It was Steve, me, and Luke from the 1892 Reds podcast, and we got accused of cheating, which we didn't. John was just very drunk.
Yeah, and Connor's really good at pool, so in the future, if you ever play Connor, don't play him at pool. He's the Welsh Ronnie O'Sullivan. I was going to say
Johnny Evans. Whatever floats your boat, but no, that I won't comment on that. Anyway, we're all very sorry for your economy as well. Yeah, it's very emotional as well. I was very happy for Chris anyway, saying good evening as well. But we will dive in then to, of course, the news that everyone's been waiting for, of course. Let me make it bigger for you guys. Anyway, of course, reliable. Anyway, in Germany, is it
Florian Plettenberg?
Yeah, thank you for that. But yeah, Florian Plettenberg saying exclusive news. Yeah, it's a brilliant name. Brilliant to say as well. Saying exclusive news, Naby Keita isn't happy with his current situation in Liverpool. There were talks about a contract extension, but they have stopped now. His departure is possible regardless of Thiago and Oxlade-Chamberlain, but early stages talks will take place. Now, of course, to add to this as well, there was, further rumours and further inklings as well that Liverpool have offered Naby Keita a 3-year contract. Supposedly, money is not a problem. It's game time is a big problem in terms of Naby Keita. Now, for me personally, Jack, for me, this is purely Naby's fault. Even though I love the lads, don't get me wrong, but for me, the big problem is when you have, the likes of Fabinho, Thiago, and Jordan Henderson in the main 11, they're not going to be budged out of Jurgen Klopp's side. We've all known that now. They are the main middle three. The problem is for me, no, this is the thing. Naby was fit last season. He only missed 6 games in all competition, due to injury. Anyway, but the big problem for me is Naby is never available when one of those 3 are missing. Never. Now, obviously, right now he didn't play any game time against Crystal Palace that we'll talk on about in a little bit. But also,
sadly,
sadly, but he's never available when called upon. He's always there when the middle 3 are available, but he's never there to make a statement and make his name available more often. I would say, and that for me is the big problem of all about this. Supposedly, if you listen to rumors and gossip and whispers, he wants to potentially go back to Germany and find more game time there. For me, at the moment, especially with we mentioned it in your stream as well, with the fact that Liverpool could potentially lose 3 midfielders, going ahead to next summer, all on a free transfer. This is a huge problem for Liverpool Football Club at the moment, and I think it has to be sorted out sooner rather than later. But what was your thoughts on the whole, the whole situation and the whole news, really?
We've spoke over the last couple of years doing our channels, me, you, and Dave, when we talked about Naby every single season. Is if is the big word with Naby. If he's fit, if he's available, and as you said, availability is the key word with Naby. He's, as you said, he come off the back of I wouldn't say an amazing season. It's amazing in terms of his Liverpool career that he stayed fit. That's the amazing aspect of that, because the previous years have been an absolute car crash in reality, because the fee in which Liverpool paid for him, mate, come with a big rapport, obviously German football, and obviously playing for RB Leipzig, giving team awareness, struck up quite a combination. And there was don't know if you've got it, Con, tonight, but I'll try and get it up anyway. Obviously the tweet from Mel Veddy, and she was quoted as saying, in terms of paraphrasing, but when she described this deal in terms of Liverpool, it was the value. Liverpool don't want to lose the value in Naby Keita, which there still is. And as Connor alluded to, we're losing James Milner. There's no value in him. The only value he offers Liverpool is a lot of value in relation to his experience at the football club and on the training pitch for the youngsters. But Ox, not really a lot of value, even though he's like 29, 30 years old. But the one aspect is the value of Naby Keita. If he was to leave, or if Liverpool did tie him down to, say, a 2-3 year deal, and if Liverpool long term wanted to sell him, it's like any business proposition, really, or in a company. If you lose an asset in your football club or business, it's going to be a massive loss, Con, in it. The value Liverpool would potentially, obviously, the money in which we did outlay, not in a business sense, it's kind of been a car crash in all fronts, really, for Liverpool, in terms of the signing him initially and then losing him on a free.
Yeah, no, 100%. And we've also got another guest on as well. We do have Doug from the Dugout Football channel as well. I will get to you in a moment, Doug, as well. But just to answer Jack's question quickly, I think that the biggest problem for Liverpool, back then till now, you look at it where we've gone, we signed him in the 16-17 season officially. Got rumoured for 1 or 2 years before that. Supposed clubs, Milan apparently were a big club that wanted him. Barcelona reportedly, were in major contact with RB Leipzig at the time, and they said that the deal's done for Liverpool, and so on. And it was always the factor of Liverpool didn't want, and Leipzig, they rightfully put out their price. They said what they wanted, but the problem was as well, there was obviously contract problems with that. Of course, I think if, Leipzig reached the Champions League or other bits and pieces. But the thing is, for me, it's obvious where that whole year where, he stayed in Germany, didn't play. And this is the thing where I think loads of people go wrong about Naby Keita. Naby Keita didn't play deep for RB Leipzig. He did at times, But the big
in
thing,
the cam roll, wasn't it?
yeah,
Like behind
exactly,
Timo.
and that's the thing. Leipzig under it wasn't Nagelsmann, it was under someone else, I think. But they played a 4-2-2, and it would be Naby and Timo Werner on the left hand side, working perfectly with one another. And that's a player that wasn't a part of Liverpool's squad. It wasn't. And I think obviously he's had to change. Was brought into the midfield straight away when he did come to Liverpool. Obviously, Klopp has said in the past now that of course that was a mistake. He just put him straight into it. But I think obviously as time's gone past, we've had better midfielders come in the door as well. Thiago, for example, world class midfielder that's put him back. We've had of course the encouragement of the likes of Harvey Elliott and of course now Fabio Carvalho coming in as well. And then, he has been mentioned around the likes of, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Curtis Jones, which one of them is going to make that next step up potentially to, help the midfield out. And Doug, first of all, hello.
Hello.
But it's that factor as well, Doug, isn't it? The fact where, as a squad player and a useful, person to the squads, signing Naby Keita to a new deal, I think makes absolute sense. But if he's not happy, if he's not, of course, not happy with game time, then for me, you have to potentially sell him this window if you want anything. But what's your thoughts on the whole Naby Keita situation? I know Jack's laughing at chat.
Sorry, there. Read out Rob's comments. Sorry, Dave.
Wait, was it that one? Really... Sorry, Doug. Was it that, or was it the duct tape one?
Hang on, the inhaler one. I didn't see his other one. That was the inhaler one.
All right, okay, never mind. We'll get that up in a minute. But you go on, Doug. Sorry.
I just have to say that. Do you know what the thing is with me as well about Naby Keita is he hasn't lived up to his name. He hasn't lived up to the price tag. He's not lived up to. Honestly, I was speaking about this on my show with Sophie, and she was saying along the same lines that Liverpool fans don't really know what to think of Naby Keita because he's never fit. I mean, he made 14 appearances last season from on and off the bench last season. But how many games can you say that Naby Keita has played for Liverpool? Like in a season, it would probably be between 10, 15. But the problem is, he gets these silly injuries. Bloody hell, didn't he get an injury for kicking the ground or something? This is the thing with Naby Keita. On his day, he is a very, very good midfielder. He's a very, very good midfielder.
Has to be a full moon. Has to be a full moon, doesn't it?
Exactly. And yes, we may have misused him. I remember him being in the cam role at Leipzig. He was very, very good there. But it just hasn't lived up to his billing. And I think if you're wanting to cash in now, I still think you can get a good price. I don't think we're going to get the 58.5 million. I've just seen that. Yeah,
Sorry.
I've
just seen that.
I love you so, chap. Bloody hell! Is it the weekend order? There we go. Continue, Doug. Sorry.
Sorry, sorry, Doug. But if we're like this now, imagine Monday nights. What if something goes wrong Monday night? It's going to be awful. But sorry, Doug. Continue.
No. It's what I'm literally saying is that I think that Naby Keita, if you get money for him, I don't think we're going to get the 50.6 million that we obviously paid for him back. But if you can get between 30, 40 million and the cash in, then yeah, fantastic. But I think he's wanting a 3-year deal. I think there's been something said that he wants a 3-year deal. Yeah. But if he's never fit, if he's unhappy, you don't keep an unhappy player at the club. So for me, I would cash in.
Yeah, and Doug and Connor just quickly asked this question in chat. Con, are you more? I think the biggest aspect with this deal and just Naby in general, as you said before, Con, we tried so hard to get him in the door. You'd think I know Jurgen Klopp's not a type of man to give up on his players, but if internally Liverpool aren't willing to give him a 3-year deal or more, why did we try so hard to try and get him in the first place?
I just think that it hasn't gone the way I think Klopp thought it'd go. I think because I think the big problem I think with Naby is the fact that even before Thiago, the middle three would be Gini, Hendo, and Fabinho. It would be. And then you look at those big games where, obviously, I've said it perfectly. I think for me, obviously Harvey Elliott for me is a part of Liverpool's best three in midfield now.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, I would have said Naby would have been in that. I would have personally put Naby ahead of Jordan Henderson. We look at that Man City game and other games like that, the counter pressing type games, which works in obviously in head-to-head games like that, Champions League as well. It works pretty well in late competition wise, but in the Premier League when you've got a low block defense, and I do think as well though, I do think Naby hasn't been given. How many games have we said when Liverpool have drawn games or like we've only just won games? How many times have we said, we want a midfielder brought on that can drive at the defense? I would say that. But then I do think where, if he's complaining about game time, and I think you lads will mention
it's
it as well.
a bit rich if he's got actually coming out with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
No, exactly. And it's the fact that if he is complaining about game time, it's like, well, where are you then, lads? Where are you when, like even now when Liverpool are going through a midfield crisis, where are you? Like, you're not anywhere.
And Jurgen select him in the big games, though, any boys and Chas. If you look at it, I think against the Real Madrid games over the last couple of years, he selected them.
Well,
that's quite rich, though, isn't it?
You mentioned it. Sorry about that, but you mentioned the Madrid game. He played in that, went off at 40 minutes. We didn't see him again in that season. Again,
he was
so you can tell how furious Klopp was.
Yeah, he was hooked, wasn't
he? And even in the semi-final, though, against Villarreal, we were all wondering, why is Naby in there? Why isn't Jordan Henderson in there? And I don't think Naby had a shocker, but he didn't have the best of 45 minutes, did he? When Liverpool, of course, were 2-0 down against Villarreal, and you look at it, and you like that, and it is games like that. If he can step up, then you're like, fair enough. Klopp was right to choose him. Whatever. That Man City game, we'll talk about it. The previous season, the two best games of Naby Keita's Liverpool career was the semi-final against Manchester City, and of course the 5-0 against Manchester United. Plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm hoping Klopp's been a bit more ruthless. Would you say, boys and Chas? I'm hoping he's just come to a point like all of us this season and went, "You are having a giraffe, a Joel Matip," and just said, like, mate, if you continue to be. There's another great comment. Rob's on one tonight. He's on form.
We are children in this chat.
Yeah, go to Rob's one there. Where are you? But yeah, I think he's got to a point like all of us. As I said, we've tried so hard to get him, but I think Klopp's been banging his head against the wall. Like, what else are you going to get injured with? But we all know if he is to leave, and he does leave on a free this summer, where are you? No, I'm on your physio table now, but that's where you are. Then it's just come to a time where Liverpool went, right, sounds. We're going to have a massive surgery in the summer, which probably Connor will allude to in a little second. It's going to be madness. Liverpool are going to be having to get not going to say that, we're going to have to get our wallets out on the table and just spend all the money.
I know exactly what you're going to say, but
no
you're
comments.
not like to say it. But no, it is that, and the fact we have mentioned it, the fact now that Liverpool, we're already complaining about Liverpool need one more midfielder, and of course, with three people now potentially leaving all on a free, at the end of the season. Again, every single team in Europe now will know Liverpool need midfielders, and they will put the price tag each and every single midfielder up by an absolute ton.
Do you know the shocking thing? He's made 117 appearances and he scored 11 goals. Naby Keita.
That's embarrassing.
Can you name those 11 goals? Go.
Man United, Palace,
Newcastle last season.
Southampton. Yeah, Newcastle.
Wait, is
We
that
should
like
Chelsea.
in all
boys.
competitions?
Yeah.
Or just
What's that?
Premier League? Is it in all competitions or just
All
Premier League?
comps. All comps.
Yeah. You can probably count as well, boys and chat, the amount of good games Naby's had on one hand. That's how bad this career at Liverpool's been, would you say? Like if you think about it in reality.
I was having to think about this the other day, right? Obviously, Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher did their like big like traffic lights. Obviously, Manchester United like players.
I just put it up.
How many Liverpool signings under Jurgen Klopp can you put in the red? Because I don't think there's many. I think if we're going to say Naby Keita career hasn't been very, very good, he'd probably be in an amber. I don't think there's many Liverpool players that you can say under Jurgen Klopp are definitely in a red.
Nunes is definitely in this red because he's seeing red at the minute, isn't he? So he's definitely at that. If he continues playing like he has, butting everyone.
Absolutely.
But the point I'm making is that Jurgen Klopp doesn't usually get it wrong in the transfer window. So maybe with Naby, it's just a case of what might have been.
Yeah, no, 100%. And again, though, it's all if and buts at the moment, isn't it? Like next week, it could be, he signs a new deal. That's the magic of the transfer window, realistically. But I do think, and one thing, and I'll ask both of you this: if Liverpool were to sell him right now, with 2 weeks to go in the market, how much do you think we could get for him right now?
As John's alluded to, 58 paid this night.
I
said to you, Connor, on our show, shamelessly plug, see Connor on my episodes that we just done anyway. But I said 5 to 10 million, as John said there. But it's the thing, it would be mad, but unless Liverpool were on the inclining in terms of obviously bringing someone in that had become available, I think it'd be 5 to 10 million. But if you keep them potentially January, boys, Liverpool, as much as we wouldn't like it, Liverpool have historically done a lot of January business.
Again, though, can Liverpool afford? Because we even now, even though we have drawn 2 games out of 2, and we'll speak about that now in a moment. But even though that's happened, the title is obviously still on. And that's the thing where look, it's a huge amount of football from now until the World Cup, and obviously you can't win anything in that time frame, but you can definitely lose things in that time frame. And at the minute, this is where I think gets a lot different. We are in uncharted territory. We've never had a World Cup during a season. Now, we've never had that. We have never ever had a World Cup in November, December time. What I think is going to happen is I think there's going to be loads of teams that will drop points. I think every team's going to drop points between now and November. I can't see Manchester City going unbeaten until like November. What I think is going to happen is I think there's going to be loads of teams dropping points, and there probably will be a lot of injuries. This is why the 5 substitutions rule is in there, to stop people getting injured. Now, if you look at Liverpool and Manchester City, of the players who are not going to the World Cup, Holland's not going, Salah's not going, Diaz isn't going. You could probably say a lot of other players in that City team are probably not going to go anyway. So I think as well that this World Cup, and look, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's going to be in. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's going to be in November, December. Like I've said, I've always remembered the World Cup to be in the summer, and that. And bloody FIFA decide about, I think it's a couple of months away before the actual first game, that they've actually changed the first game yet again, which they should have done that in the first place, because I've known for a number of years that the host always opens with the World Cup.
always opens with the first game. So the fact that they had Senegal, Netherlands to potentially start the World Cup just didn't make sense. What I think will happen is you'll see a lot of teams potentially drop points from here out and until November, and it's just a case of how many points we could probably get after, and it's whether or not Klopp decides with the players that probably won't be going to the World Cup. It's basically his decision what to do with the players. Maybe go somewhere to get training or somewhere.
We're off to Dubai.
They're off to Dubai.
Yeah,
definitely off to Dubai.
I think it's been confirmed. I think we're on a 3-week tour of Dubai during the World Cup. So
yeah,
second pre-season for the lads that aren't going as well. But I absolutely agree with you, Doug.
Hopefully,
and again,
hopefully, Connor, we get bought by a potential new owner. You never know.
Shut up! Like no. What? So what? We're on the market now, are we?
You never know. Hopefully, might actually be able to get some funds to buy a midfielder.
Fabio Carvalho is cheap for 3 years down the line. Gavi and Barella are for now. As well as Gary. Again, though, you are looking at 100 million euros if you're looking at Barella right now.
100%.
Obviously, we're thinking true. If Keita has said that I'm going to cry with laughter as well, it's very dodgy timing to be leaking this to the press 2 weeks before the window shuts. He might have had a proposition in Germany. Well, again, you look at it, the fact that Leipzig have got Timo Werner back. Again, the German link has been talked about supposedly, but again, Borussia Dortmund's name was, I think, the number one place that was being mentioned, not Leipzig. So again, you look at it like that, and it's like, will Dortmund offer any money? Of course, they've had a busy transfer window as things stand at the minute. But yeah, of course, it's going to be interesting, isn't it?
For me, as you said, and we've reported on a couple of stories over the last couple of years on our channels, certain stories similar to the Jordan Henderson story that did leak to the press. It was a couple of weeks prior to him signing that new deal. And this has happened for a reason. And it wouldn't surprise me, as you said, Conor, on my show before, if it turns around, Naby does sign a new contract extension. It's probably already done. And it's just a matter of Liverpool or whoever behind the scenes in terms of the footballing world has leaked this to the press. It's for good reason, I think. Obviously, as a club, in terms of Naby's representatives, in terms of obviously their bargaining, and the fact that Liverpool come out with that strong stance, not officially, but Liverpool that's what we've offered, and you're not willing, but we've seen Liverpool do that in the past, and it has worked.
Yeah, 100%. Doug's seen something funny. What are we seeing?
There's a perfume seller in town who's interested in buying the club. He calls himself Elon Musk.
I've just seen that.
Don't be robbing that, Rob. Yeah, that's good.
Rob, I'm going to ban you in a minute, lads. I'm kidding, of course. I am kidding. I'm kidding. But no, again, you do mention a really good point with Jordan Henderson and the fact that, and again, though, it might just be a ploy by his team for, to get it hurried up and so on and that. But again, supposedly money is not an issue. It is game time, supposedly, according to the rumours as well. And of course, we've mentioned Florian mentioning the news. Of course, he was the first one. They mentioned the Sadio Mane to Bayern Munich rumours as well. So again,
what a name that is, by the way, Plettenberg.
Yeah, it is a brilliant name. But of course, you look at it like that. Of course, brilliant track record as things stand anyway. But we'll move away then from the Naby Keita situation, and we'll talk, of course, about the Palace aftermath anyway. I want to quickly get up, of course, of course, like Jack said, he did get a red card, and Mr. Darwin Núñez, of course,
Mr. Headbutt.
Mr. Headbutt himself, apologising to, of course, all the Liverpool fans, and he said, I'll be back as well. He did also have a further message as well, that it was in believe, is it? Yeah, in Spanish, I think it was as well. But it did, if I quickly get it on the screen as well for you guys, it did say that I am aware of the ugly attitude I had. I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn from my mistakes, and it won't happen again as well. But Jack, for it to be such a huge mistake as well, again, I think we do have to look at it. He is still young. He will learn from this, and hopefully he learns that it won't happen again as well. But I think we mentioned it straight after the game, didn't we? On here, it's the fact that his Anfield debut. You'd expect better from him, and you'd expect as well. Look, of course, Anderson, he does nibble at him all game long. That's Premiership football, it is. But you'd expect Nunes to, understand that, especially being from the Portuguese league as well, where I think you've also mentioned it in the past as well.
Yeah,
where,
Pepe
Pepe, yeah, exactly. And of course, Champions League as well. That's what happens in the Champions League. But I think, as Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville said, once you see that red and you just go blank and you just, and it just happens. And hopefully Jurgen Klopp and the management team and so on can control it, really, because you hope that it never happens again.
Yeah, and certain Fernando Torres signed for Liverpool when he was 23, and certain other young players that come to the Premier League, you know exactly what you're going to do. But what I was more concerned of, I was sat in the stadium and I don't know, and even on telly, all of us were. It just happened so quick, and was like, and I'd watched, and it's, as you said, Con, a lot of centre halves are going to be looking at that for the next 12 months in the Premier League, and even for the Uruguayan national side as well, and go, oh, he's a bit hot-headed in reality. And if he doesn't buck up his trend, and what a game to come back to in the Premier League. If he thinks playing against Crystal Palace is bad, imagine when he comes up against Connor Cody and obviously Tarkowski. They're going to be getting him in headlocks and everything, and then shoving him. And obviously, if he does play away from home with Goodison as well in a couple of months, are we playing Everton at home or away first?
It's away first.
Oh, so that's going to be a cool kind of atmosphere.
Yeah.
And we've seen Liverpool players in the past get absolutely hounded. It's probably going to be one of the most toxic atmospheres he's ever played in as a young professional. And be interesting to see if Jurgen Klopp does trust him. I know, as much as we've said in the past, it's a big money sign. He's got to start. And obviously, if Liverpool don't have our injured players back, I Firmino or Jota, he's going to have to start straight away. I know it's a bit crazy to say, would he start? But if he continues and with that same attitude, he could be missing for quite a large chunk of. But it's going to get a lot worse for Nunes in terms of the Premier League defenders after that game than it's going to get any better.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you with that. And Doug, obviously, I think it's the first time, a player has been sent off in a Premier League, home debut for Liverpool since Joe Cole, all the way back in 2010. But again, it's that fact where, as Jack said, there is going to be tougher tests, in the future. Everton, prime example. Obviously, when you're playing, in big games like Manchester United, Manchester, City, and so on, it's a huge concern with him as well. But just overall, and to be fair, your overall thoughts just on the Palace game, because I haven't really spoken to you on here about your thoughts about the events that happened against Crystal Palace.
I've got to be honest. If you dominate a game like that for about 30 minutes and not put the ball in the back of the net, you know what's going to happen. It's going to be one of those games where it just slipped away, unfortunately. Look, I thought Palace, to their credit, had a game plan. They were to defend and catch us in the counter attack. And to be fair to Zaha, it's a wonderful finish from Zaha. And to be honest, the red card kind of changed the game for us because we actually played better with 10 men, which is quite weird. Anyway, but the thing with Darwin Núñez' red card is he's going to have Premier League defenders now trying to antagonise him. And he's going to have to watch his step. And yes, I know that he is the first home player to be sent off for his Premier League debut. since Joe Cole. So yeah, that worries me. That worries me ever so slightly. He is a better player than he probably is a better player than Joe Cole is now. But I have to say that, funnily enough, I thought he'd actually sent off Diaz Tierney the other night. I thought it was for Diaz to start with, but obviously not. But this is an interesting stat. Apparently, Paul Tierney, I think it's 26% of Liverpool games. I think he's shown the red card to most of our games, which is quite something. But Darwin Núñez has no complaints. He just lost his head completely. They were actually at it in Singapore as well. Him and Anderson as well. But yeah, it's going to take a bit of time to obviously get used to the Premier League. It's going to give them a bit of time to get used to our playing style. It leaves us badly short for Monday. I was saying this on my my match preview. Who the hell are we going to play up front? Because I look at this now, and Bobby Firmino, he probably will be on the bench. He probably won't be match fit, but do you put Salah into the forward position and then probably move Elliott further forward, or do you actually play Carvalho on the right and maybe Diaz on the? It's a big headache for Jurgen Klopp. But what I can say about that Manchester United game, this makes it a bigger game now for me. Because I think if we had beaten Palace, I would have gone into that Manchester United game thinking that we were going to probably win by a lot more. But now I look at it, it's a must-win. And that is what concerns me. It's a must-win.
Yeah, 100%. We will get on to that little point as well about who starts up front as well. But looking at the game itself, and just looking a bit quickly on expected goals as well. I think I read somewhere that Liverpool have the best expected goals, best XG in the league at the moment. I think it's up by like 4.8 at the present moment in time. Of course, XG is nothing. Just saying that. Of course, remember Brighton, I think, would have finished third if XG was a thing back, I think, 3-4 years ago. Anyway, but just looking at the long term and the long phase of it, and we will speak about Luis Diaz and his goal as well. But for me, Jack, concerning, and I'll ask Doug this as well, a little bit concerning for me, and it does, go into the Luis Diaz type of conversation as well, is the play between him and Andy Robertson. Now I'm going to quickly show a heat map of both Andy Robertson and Luis Diaz, if I can quickly get it for you guys anyway on SofaScore. If it hasn't disappeared, it has disappeared. Let me quickly get it back up for you guys. Anyway, but of course, you quickly look at Luis Diaz and you look at Andy Robertson. Now, again, as you can see on the red heat map there, they're both in the attacking phase of things. They're both in the identically the same place. And that for me was a big problem on Monday. The fact that Robbo didn't look like he wanted to overlap, not like what he's done with Sadio Mane. No overlaps, no underlaps. I don't know whether or not that's a tactical point thing with Jurgen Klopp. Potentially, I mentioned this to you on Monday, Jack, as well. But for me, Andy Robertson just doesn't look comfortable when Luis Diaz is on the wing. Now, I don't get why, me personally. And for me, I think Robbo had a poor game against Palace. And obviously, we've all spoken about Costas potentially being involved.
Can I just say, I think Robbo's been poor since the start of the season.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, for me...
probably since the end of last season as well.
Yeah, for me, Mason, obviously coming out of the ground, I was very complexed in reality in terms of just, especially when obviously the cameras don't pick up everything, but the in-game discussions from both players, obviously the communication aspect is a massive part, I think, to that. Obviously, Luis Diaz not quite understanding, obviously, Andy Robbo with his accent and everything. And obviously, a Colombian and a Scotsman, Doug, probably need a translator, definitely, for that, don't you, mate? But as I said, I was speaking to Mick Manan a couple of days ago, and you lads as well, that obviously the combination play down that left-hand side. It's not going to be as tip-top form compared to when we did have Sadio Mane as well, but I'm hoping eventually when Diaz does have a better grasp of English and obviously understands the tactics a lot better, I think we will see Diaz preoccupying the more forward final third areas a bit more, as you alluded to that graph, mate. But I think obviously the sending off, I think with Robinson, he couldn't quite go a bit more further forward, could he? Obviously with being a man down. But for me personally, I know Robinson's done so well for Liverpool over the last couple of years. Well, for every year he's been at the club, he's been Liverpool easily in the top 3 of the most consistent players. You always get at least a 7 out of 8, a 7 or an 8 rating over the last couple of years, every single game, similar with Gino Ronaldo when he was at Liverpool as well. But for me, I want to see Kostas given a run in the team because I think he will very much thrive. And yes, everyone was criticising his crosses, Kostas, and you're criticising a player when, firstly, we're man down against Crystal Palace. He wouldn't be able to fully utilise the areas of pitch in which he would do in the case of having 11 men on the pitch. So, but yeah, for me, it's disappointing, really, mate. And I come out with that grounds, as you said. In reality, when it comes down to it, Liverpool, yes, we created quite a lot of chances, but I wouldn't necessarily say it was defence splitting passes where we've opened up a team. It's a case of 50-50 chances, really. Núñez, when you think about it, yes, he had the odd chance, but it wasn't like on a plate chance, if you get me, like fully where he was guaranteed to score. But yeah, it's disappointing, mate. But we go again, as you say in the title anyway. Liverpool must go again, and we will. But given the small margins in which we've seen Liverpool in the past, boys, innit? We all moaned about the draws last year. Over the last couple of years, I just wish we'd pick up a bit more points. And there will be 36 other games to go, but hindsight is a wonderful thing.
The massive thing is, though, about this, and you mentioned really good points there, but for me as well, you look at it, Liverpool are a team that can quite easily go, and win. Obviously that towards the back end of last season, what was it, 50 points out of 54? Towards the back end of last season, Liverpool can do that. Obviously, City can do that as well, don't get me wrong. But I think what people have to take, just a moment for, and people have mentioned in the chat as well, you look at City last year, I think the first 5 games, they had 10 points at the start of the season. Liverpool, if we win, obviously the remaining games can be on 11 points. So, it's not all doom and gloom. It's annoying. It's sad that, we are, 2 games in, 2 draws, but at the end of the day, if we, beat Manchester United, we've beaten the Manx to start the season, and progressing well, and so on as well. Anyway, and of course, we won't mention too much about Luis Diaz's goal because it was phenomenal, wasn't it? And we can talk about it all night long anyway. But before we do head off, because it is quite late, it is 10 o'clock at the moment, so I want to quickly wrap this up for the lads as well. We will talk then about, of course, the front 3 going into Manchester United. Of course, Doug mentioned it, and I'll ask Doug this first as well. Obviously, Roberto Firmino, as we know at the moment, there's no news at the moment concerning whether or not he will be available for, of course, Manchester United. But obviously, no Darwin Núñez, no Diogo Jota, neither as well. But Doug, I think for me personally, the number one name that would get talked about is Fabio Carvalho. It's just the whole conversation, I think personally, is where does he play? Does he play in that false 9, or does he play on the left and we move Diaz inside? But what's your thoughts of thinking ahead of United on Monday?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? I don't want to move Harvey Elliott further forward, because I think if you do that, I think you're disrupting the movement in midfield. I think he was good the other night, Harvey Elliott. I think it will be Diaz, Salah, Carvalho, but it's going to be interesting to see where Carvalho would play. Now, for me, Carvalho is probably more of a number 10. I mean, Diaz moved into the striking role the other night when we went down to 10 men, and I thought he did all right. I thought he did okay there. But Salah against Shaw, possibly Varane, probably Martinez, makes me think we might put Salah up front, and I think probably have Diaz and Carvalho on the wings.
Do you
That's
think?
my thinking.
Do you think that Sorry for butting in a little bit, but do you think that obviously we've seen Jordan Henderson at times throughout the years. Obviously he's on the right hand side of the midfield, but he's been pushed, really out on that right hand side, more of a right midfielder, like he did when we played that. Of course, that diamond under Brendan Rodgers. Do you think that that could potentially be a possibility where you see, of course, Luis Diaz and Mo Salah more inwards? You've mentioned Carvalho being, a 10, being in that little pocket of space, and then potentially we see maybe Harvey pushed out a little bit more wide, or even Hendo pushed a little bit more wide. Do you think that that could be a potential possibility for United as well? And well, to Jack as well, do you think that could be a possibility?
It could be a possibility. But the one thing for me is that I don't like to see Elliott moved. I think Elliott is very good in the midfield, and I think he will get at the Manchester United midfield. Because let's be honest, they're probably going to have McFred playing. I mean, it's not the best. It's not the best. Like, we haven't got the best midfield. They haven't got the best midfield. So, I think Elliott for me has to play definitely for the midfield, and I think as well, I don't want to change formation as much as it pains me to say it, but actually, now you think of it, I am liking the sound of the 4-3-1-2 with Carvalho behind Diaz and Salah potentially. But it's going to be a tricky decision anyway. It's going to be very tricky. To be fair, I think this is the most unpredictable lineups that we've probably had going into a Manchester United Liverpool game, both sides, because of how poor we've been.
I thought you were going to say scoreline then. I would say, were you playing out? We're all predicting 9-0, are we? For Monday. But yeah, Jack, same as you. Could you see any other different, formula to the problem, or do you think that it's as plain as day? It will be Carvalho, Diaz, and Salah.
Yeah, I think it will be Diaz through the middle, mate, and obviously Carvalho on the left and Salah on the right. It's going to be mad. I think obviously you've seen certain coaches over the last couple of years as well, and that famous quote: "You just got to keep on. If you're playing bad, you just got to play through the bad form if that's possible." And obviously Liverpool, we've seen them over the last few years. We're so blessed to watch this Liverpool side week after week just win football games, and it's quite a shock to the system that, oh my God, we've actually not got 3 points from this game, as we've been very blessed in the past, and we've probably been a bit spoiled when you analyse it. That Liverpool, that's why I think, judging from the massive reaction, as it always is when Liverpool lose points in any aspect, then, but for me, I think it will be, as Doug alluded to in chat, you don't want to stint not Harvey's development, but he's been playing so well in that position, as Doug alluded to, in that right-hand side of the midfield three. So just leave him there, Salah on the right, and then obviously it's a case in point of who do you play on that left-hand side of the midfield three, especially if Diaz is playing that left. But it'd be interesting, but whatever team we do put out, it should be capable of getting all 3 points against Manchester United. But this is why Jurgen Klopp gets paid the big money to make these changes and make these. But I'm excited, mate. It's Man United. If we can't beat Man United or get 3 points, we don't deserve to be in chase of a Premier League title. In all honesty.
Yeah, I've just seen your comment as well. Yeah, a little bit of news on Naby Keita as well. Sorry, Jack, I've mentioned, we've just mentioned now. But yeah, Neil Jones is saying the intention is to thrash out a new 4-year deal with Keita as well. And that's coming from Neil Jones as well, from goal.com as well. So again, I think this is going to be full on Henderson situation now. Jack mentioned earlier on, I think it is prime Jordan Henderson situation where, don't be shocked if we see a Naby Keita announcement video in the morning. Anyway, and I'll be over the moon and I'll celebrate on Twitter. Kidding anyway. But watching the Rangers game last night, I wouldn't help but admire the referees after Monday. Well, I don't know, some Premier League referees are shite, to be fair. Ali Trent, we'll mention John, team news when we're going to have the preview on Friday. Anyway, of course, Doug mentioned it in the stream, Neil Jones as well. Interesting, Doug, but he wants to go. I don't want an unhappy player in the squads. Well, we don't know, of course, what guarantees, of course, and it's all rumours at the moment in terms of game time. That was rumours anyway, as far as we know. Anyway, Neil Jones has confirmed Bobby will be back for Monday's game. That's good news if that is the
Good
case,
news.
Andrew. As well, if he is back, then of course everything we have just said, Bobby starts 100%. Anyway, Van Dijk needs to play right centre back from now on. He needs to give Trent that protection defensively as well. I disagree with that. I think obviously if you've got a Joel Matip, if you've got a Joe Gomez, I think because it's Nat Phillips, like Nat Phillips is a warrior. He is Nat Deeney in real life, but again, it's going to be hard when he is defending, a player that is paceful, powerful, and is skillful as Wilfred Zaha in a centre forward role as well, which I think will work well for Palace as well.
Sorry, there, Con, and just don't know 100% it is, but I'm just seeing Sander Berg being linked with Liverpool supposedly. Don't know much. But, his name's trending on obviously Twitter.
I will. Bellingham is trending for me.
Yeah, Sander Berg. But I think it was getting reports on Sky Sports or something, whoever it was. But wait, that's a load of nonsense, whatever article it is from or whatnot. But it wouldn't surprise me. He's a decent player, but everyone's lost their mind anyway.
I have just seen it. Get off my stream. It's too late. God's sake, I've just seen Doug's little joke as well. Anyway, but we'll take Doug. Anyway, but Elsko says, imagine if we don't win, our streams will just be bad jokes. Don't worry, it's all Monday night just in case we lose against the Manx on Monday. Anyway, of course that's not going to happen. We're going to absolutely destroy them. But potentially anyway. Imagine us with a couple of pints donuts as well. Imagine that. Don't want to stream if we do that one day potentially. Anyway, but we will leave it there for tonight. Anyway, if there is any other breaking news, of course, we'll hopefully try and bring it to you guys anyway. But a big thank you to both Jack and of course Doug as well. Doug, do you have anything coming up on your channel, my friend?
Oh, Jesus Christ! I didn't see that.
Jack did it on his show, so I'm gonna copy it. So there you go.
Oh, that's fine. Not so much, to be honest. Mainly sort of pre-recorded videos. Obviously, the championship. I mean, Redden beat Blackburn 3-0 tonight after being thrashed 4-0 at Rotherham. The magic of the championship, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, probably championship predictions and yeah, pretty much that. I'm kind of trying to cut back a little bit as well on like live streams at the moment, but. No, obviously, just come and check me out at the Dugout Football channel on YouTube. And yeah, thank you very much for having me.
No problem, my friend. And of course, he's eating his flapjack, I think.
No, it was a burger. A burger.
Oh, there we go.
But yeah,
big thank you to Jack for coming on. Well, I say, have you got anything coming up? I'm most likely going to be on every single show from now on. As well, because
part of the furniture.
Jack's, he said that he signed me to a contract, which of course, a couple of people mentioned in the chat. I haven't seen this goddamn contract anyway.
Show me the contract, paper. Show me the contract. We need to get that link in. Thank you very much for. Yes, it's a Manchester United David De Gea paper tax fax machine broke. But nice one for having me on, mates, as always. And most importantly, thank you to chat, everyone. Absolute legends for jumping in. Appreciate it. But cheers, Con. Great to speak to you, Doug, as well. And the Reds will get 3 points against Man United.
Absolutely. Well, we will have, of course, match preview show for Manchester United. That will be on Friday. Of course, hopefully this week we will have an opposition preview for this week. Anyway, and of course, as well, I should say a big thank you because I think we are currently on 10 subscribers, I think, at the minute. Yeah, so I think there's been a couple of subscribers tonight. So a big thank you to each and every single one of you as well. If there is any mods in the chat as well, then please put the two fellas links in the chat down below as well. Rob saying, sign the damn sign the thing.
Sign the
Connor.
thing.
Ding. But when I see it, I will. Have a great night, guys, as well. And John says it's signed, Connor. You know, you signed it. Lol. Maybe not. Anyway, but of course, guys, if there is any else breaking news, we will mention it. And we will bring a video to you guys anyway. Or if you want to check us out on Twitter as well, then of course we'll mention it on there as well. Anyway, but guys, have a fantastic rest of your evening. Anyway, hopefully we will be back tomorrow at 9 p.m. as usual, and hopefully I'll see you all then. I've been Connor from the Cop Council. See you all then. Ta-ra.